That's a very important question. So if you start your day with gratitude, it's like this, like, check this out. If somebody come to your house every day and ask you for a cup of sugar, and you give them a cup of sugar and they take the sugar and they just walk off. And then the next day they come and they ask for another cup of sugar, and you're a nice person, so you give them another cup of sugar and they just walk off. How many days can this person come to your house and get this cup of sugar and never say thank you? How many times you gonna let that go down? Seriously. Survey said, how many days? Not many, because you're human. Because at one point you're gonna say, hey, wait a minute, hold up, man. You done came by here 6 times. I done gave you this cup of sugar and you ain't said thank you one time? Don't come by here no more. So now, let's think for a second. If this God wakes you up every day, allows you to breathe. See, it's not your alarm clock that wakes you up. Your alarm clock goes off. God shakes you. Then you hear the alarm clock. It's not you that's waking up. It's God allowing you to wake up. So if you ever stop to just thank him for everything he's done for you, whatever clothes you got, whatever kind of car, if you just got taxi fare, and you thank him every day for a list of things, guess what he'll do tomorrow? He will add to that list of stuff that you can thank him for. And if you keep thanking him, you'll find out that in 1 week, you'll have a lot more stuff to be grateful for. Gratitude is the #1 principle of success. That's what the average person doesn't understand. You can do that today. You don't need no more money. You can start that today. That would change your life. I kid you not. You ain't got to just try it. You ain't got to believe me. Try it. I dare you. Try it.
I want to give you the heads up. Never question God. When you're about to transition from one career move, one relationship, or one situation to the next, it's because you've gotten every confirmation in the world that it's your season to transition from where you are to where you're looking to be.
Don't underestimate yourself. You do what you can do, and God will do what you can't do. Take the initiative. Throw your net on the other side. Be ambitious. Reach, ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And expect things to get better for you.
People who have not accepted greatness for themselves, these people don't study, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have time for personal growth and development. They don't have time to work on their minds. People can affect us. Our peers can affect us. Our environment can affect us. Just working consciously to overcome the poverty consciousness, the feeling constantly of saying you deserve this. There's no need for you to be afraid. It's not too good to be true. It's true because you've earned it.
Why do we care so much about people who don't care about us? That won't be there in a hard time, that won't be there when you hit rock bottom, that won't be there in your struggle, that never call you and ask you how you doing, that never calls you and asks you or checks on you to see if you need something. Why do we care about what they think?
We all go through disappointments and things that are not fair. It's easy to hold on to the hurts, think about what they said. We get up in the morning, it's the first thing that comes to mind. We don't realize how much that's affecting us, draining our energy, limiting our creativity. If you're going to fulfill your destiny, you have to get good at letting things go.
See, your unwillingness to forgive another person is like you sipping the poison, waiting on them to die. Forgiveness is for you. You can't drive your car looking in the rearview mirror. You can't. There's a reason why the rearview mirror is this big and the windshield is this big. If you keep looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to keep crashing your car.
Have you ever noticed that when your faith is the strongest, you come up under the greatest attack? Because every time the devil senses that you're about to walk into who you be, and he's trying to stop you from doing it, slap somebody and say, just do it.
Be great before it's too late. Being in a great house does not make you great. It's one thing to have great parents, but that doesn't make you great. And they said it's possible to be in a great house, but you not be great. So being in a great house does not ensure that you'll become great.
How can you keep your mind on what you're trying to do? How can you make the choice of discipline over procrastination? How can you keep an attitude of doing it all and doing it now? How can you stay focused on your ambitions? You can keep your focus on your work, or you'll find yourself distracted. Distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, and pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts within yourself.
Even when you face rejection, even when you face failure, you make a decision. I will remain in the grind. I'm not backing down. I'm called to make a difference.
Greatness is not immediate. This is so important. In other words, greatness takes time to develop. Greatness is not immediate. You got to stay with it. You got to stay at it. You got to keep working on it. We give up too quickly.
You map out, you think, you strategize. You change up your team, ready for the opportunity to present itself. Most of y'all are impatient. If it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to happen, you say maybe it wasn't meant to be. God will never give you something somebody else is supposed to have.
I want you to write this down. There are two powers in life that every one of us have to deal with every day, that you can never control or stop. Is time and change. You cannot control time. You cannot control change.
What's at the core of achieving the good life? The major key to the good life. It is not in mastering the attributes of leadership. Every day in 1,000 different ways, we are trying to improve ourselves by learning how to do things. We spend a lifetime gathering knowledge in classrooms and in experiences.
Self-approval. That's a very challenging area. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where most people get stuck. That's a stage that a lot of people get there, and they never move out of that area. Why? Many things can contribute to our not approving our dreams, our not feeling good enough. A lot of things can contribute to that. Many of us never live up to our potential or don't approve ourselves because we never had anybody to believe in us.
And because your doing doesn't come from the deeper place of being, it hasn't worked for you. If you're trying to find out who you are by doing things, you will never find out who you are by doing. You'll have to start with being, because the difference between the two determines the direction of your destiny.
I need to embrace the suffering. You know, there's something powerful that once you just sort of embrace the fact that in order to achieve something big, you've got to get rid of these distractions. You're probably going to have some suffering to get there, or some sacrifice to get there. And so once you've embraced and decided that this suffering, this sacrifice you're making is an indicator of progress. Suffering and sacrifice and hard work is an indication of progress towards our dreams.
If you're still wounded over a position you lost, you'll go to that new company, defensive, not friendly. You're treating them based on what you've been through, but they had nothing to do with it. It's much more freeing when you learn to let things go. God will be your vindicator. He'll take care of who did you wrong. It's not your job to pay people back. They hurt you once. Don't let them continue to hurt you by holding on to it.
Found economics, found future, found promise, and if I can do it. So, start setting your goals and see if you can't get a better excitement going for the things you want to accomplish for the future. One of the major reasons for setting goals is for what they make of you in achieving. My teacher advised me when I first got started at age 25, he said, "Jim, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? I'm here to help you." And he said, "Here's why. For what it will make of you to achieve." I'm telling you, that statement changed my life. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve. He said, now, once you become a millionaire, what's important is not the money. It isn't important. He said, you could just give the money away. Now, I did better than that. I lost it all. By the time I was 31, I was a millionaire. By the time I was 33, I was broke. But when I lost all my money, guess what? I found out Mr. Schoaf was right. What was valuable was not the money. What was valuable was what I became to earn the money. The skills I had, the knowledge I had about the marketplace, the values that I had going for me. They were more valuable than the money. Here's an important statement to remember. It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become. So part of the key here is to set the kind of goals that will make something of you. Don't set them too low so that you don't have to grow and you don't have to read and you don't have to try and you don't have to stretch. Don't set them too low. And then don't sell out. Don't go for something that's going to cost you your virtue or cost you your values or sell out your principles. There's a good middle road here to follow. Goals that will inspire, goals that will help you grow, change, develop, and become better than you.
High performers are not dissatisfied strivers. They're not. They're happy. High performers are happier than their peers. We all believe that to get the top, it's going to be lonely at the top, and we all believe you have to grind and kill yourself to get there. And that's completely wrong, and the data proves it worldwide, which is, I think, just overcoming a lot of people's biases about how you work today, because right now, especially today, like, grind on social media is so popular.
Or hustle.
And by the way, none of the top 15% of high performers worldwide identify with those words. They literally don't. We asked them, we did a whole keyword analysis.
Yep.
This was actually pretty cool. And high performers explicitly say, these are the three driving feelings. We said there was a high performance state. Mm-hmm. It's driven from these three things. Number one, full engagement.
Yes.
Number two, joy.
Yes.
And number three, confidence.
Yes.
That's what they relate with, okay? That's where it's coming from. It's a joyous journey, not a dissatisfied one. And I had this conversation in the book because I'll kind of maybe frame it this way. Each of these chapters opens with a vignette of somebody I worked with or a situation that I was in that demonstrated high performance. In this particular situation, I'm walking on a stage, thousands of people, after a very famous musician was out there and was telling the audience that that person's secret to success, remember, thousands of people,
yes.
Their secret to that person, their whole speech, their secret to success was never settle. Never settle. Nothing is enough. Never settle. And never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. Always demand more. And I'm like, oh, my second slide, which was going to be on Jumbotrons in like 80-point text, was strive satisfied. And like, oh, I'm going to have to dispel this for all these thousands of people. I was totally freaked out.
Yeah.
But what I had to explain to people was not only the data, but it's this. If you're never satisfied, I mean, is it true that life is precious? If it's true that life is precious, and you could be gone tomorrow, do you really want to think, you know what, I just never felt fulfilled? I never allowed myself to have a moment of credit. I never allowed myself to have a moment of peace. I never allowed myself to look at that and say, good job. That's not the way to live life. I think just at a spiritual level, it's a bad move. And this book doesn't really go into a lot of that. It's more about the science and the heart stuff. But I think it's really important that people realize your job is to strive satisfied. And if you strive satisfied more often, you will be more of a high performer. And if you never give yourself credit, you're always beating up on yourself, you're always thinking that's not perfect enough,
What this emotion is telling you is you need to change your perception, because otherwise you're going to feel pain for no reason. You might also look at this same situation as a symbol that you need to change your procedure.
But for some of you, that contract messed you up. You soft now. You ain't as hungry as you was when you was in high school. You ain't as hungry as you was when you was in college.
But what's going to make the major difference? Each person's personal philosophy that sets a better sail, sets a better sail. So don't ask for a more favorable wind. That's like wishing something that's not going to occur.
Anybody can give up, anybody can let it overwhelm you, but you know what that's doing, wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you, it's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you. Difficulties are a part of life. Now quit telling yourself you can't take. If you're not weak, you are well able. Eventually the pain will pass. You'll give birth to new strength. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. There will always be forces trying to convince us to settle where we are. Life has a way of pushing our dreams down.
Procedure means the way you're proceeding with this information. In other words, what this may be is a signal to you that you really aren't communicating your real needs to your husband or to your wife. Maybe what you need to do is change your procedure. And instead of feeling hurt or instead of feeling uncomfortable, turn to your husband or wife and say, honey, you know, I know you're wrapped up in your work. I know you're totally immersed. I know you're trying to do stuff that supports the whole family here. But you know what? I just need, 3 minutes with just you and I, because I really need right now to just feel loved by you. I need to hold you. I need to feel connected to you. Now, if that person starts to get upset, obviously you're getting feedback that your procedure still didn't work. You have to be a little more flexible, a little more creative, or maybe a little bit more loving in the way you do it. Or maybe change the timing in which you go about something. But that's changing procedure, changing the way you communicate. Or another way of changing procedure might be it's a signal that says that the way you're communicating your husband or wife doesn't make them want to make you feel loved right now.
You ain't as hungry as you were your first year. You ain't as hungry as you were your second year. And it can tell it, like we can see it in your game. You a grown man. Like I used to watch the game and go like, okay, what's the difference between this team and this team? And it's just like the players. I'm like, no, it's got to be bigger than that. Like they're all grown, they're all big, they're all tight, they shoot the same way. And I started realizing some dudes come with that beast and other dudes just show up. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. This is gonna be hard because some of you young and you like still worried about what people think about you, so you don't want to be honest in front of people. I'm gonna ask you a serious question. If 120% is like, yo, bump coach, I work harder than coach want me to work. And then 100% is I do everything coach tell me to do. I want you to think about what level you on. Are you giving 90, 80, 70? Let's see what I'm saying for a minute. And most of y'all know me. You know me from where? Like, where would you know me from?
That your present behavior may be turning them off. For example, let's say you feel rejected by them because when you come in the door, they don't rush up and give you a hug. They're immersed in something. Now, how do you respond to that? Well, what a lot of people do when they feel rejected is they feel uncomfortable with it, or they feel hurt, or some people get angry when they feel rejected. Now, what's the message of anger? The message of anger is you have a standard for your life, something that's important to you, and it's not being met by another person, or maybe even not being met by you. Sometimes we get angry because we're not living our own standards, huh? So let's say as a result, one of your standards is that people who love you, they run up and they greet you in your home. They don't do that today. You feel angry. One of your standards has been violated. Something you believe important is not happening, and now you're angry about it. How do you respond now to your spouse who doesn't even know what's going on? Maybe you give them a dirty look, or maybe you make some snide remark, or you find something wrong with what they're doing. As a result, this person may very well purposely reject you. Now when you're feeling this rejection, or you're feeling this hurt or this anger, and you say, okay.
Social media. Where would you know me from? Say it again. Social media. Yep, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. Watch this. I give 120. So I just got up 12 years ago, just started getting online. It was a recession at the time. And I saw what was going on in America. I'm from Detroit, GM, Chrysler, Ford went down. People started going to the casinos, shooting themselves, killing themselves. I was like, I got a gift. I'm just gonna get online and kill it. Every Monday I would get up. Thank God it's Monday, kill it. Nike never sponsored me. Adidas never sponsored me. Under Armour never sponsored me. I get up every Monday and get a world something. Then it got crazy. I start meeting people and people be like, yo, E.T., what up? Thank God it's money. I'm like, ooh, they feeling this. So then I started doing it every day. And then I started realizing cats is really feeling this. And I started doing it 3 times a day. You wake up and get 3 videos from me. You won't pay a dime for it. That's 120. Ain't nobody paying me, but I'm giving it out. Year after year after year. Boom, commercials. Year after year. Meek like I want to put you on my album.
They can become buried under discouragement, buried under past mistakes. There are dreams buried under divorce, buried under low self-esteem. It's easy to settle for mediocrity even though we have all this potential buried on the inside. What are you remembering? The hurt, the pain, what didn't work out? Turn it around and remember your dream. Have you allowed any dreams to get buried in you? At one time, you believed you could do something great. You believed you could lead the company. In sales, you believed you could break that addiction.
Don't ask for better seed and soil. All you got's what's available. Don't curse what you got. The key is to set a better sail and turn what you've got into the miracle of your future. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. That's the reason for coming here, spending a couple of days of intense effort, taking notes, rolling up your sleeves, going to work, commit yourself to learning so that you can get smarter for the days ahead. Now, here's number 3. You've got to get going. All of the things that you've learned will not do you that much good if you don't put it into an action plan. You've got to get going.
I don't care if it's babysitting. I don't care if it's doing color. I don't care if it's painting. Whatever it is, it's what you do. Sing it. Whatever you do the best, write it down. That's your gift. That's it. You ain't got to go asking a bunch of people. They've been telling you your whole life. You know, you ever had people call you with their problems? They always call you with your problems because you gifted at it. But you didn't know how to identify it. If you identify your gift. Now, let me ask you this question. This thing that you're gifted at, if you did it for somebody, do you think somebody would pay you $10 for your gift? Just $10. Could you babysit for $10? Could you cut somebody's hair for $10? Could you cut their grass for $10? Could you make them a chicken dinner for $10? Could you do something for $10? Everybody. Don't you have something somebody would give you $10 for? Okay, now.
It's been a long time. Had some bad breaks, wasn't all your fault. You could easily settle where you are, nobody would fault you. The enemy would love to deceive you into burying your dream, thinking that it's never going to work. Don't believe those lies. It's not too late to become all that you were created to be. Every time you remember your dream, you're removing some dirt you're digging. A back out the true mark of a champion is even though some dirt gets thrown on your dream, instead of letting it get buried, you keep shaking it off, you keep moving forward.
In my management and leadership seminar, we teach game plans, how to put all the good things that you've learned into action. Economic action, social action, personal action. How to make the changes and how to actually do the work, how to actually function. Get going, that's the key. Some people are ever learning, but they don't put it into action. They don't really take the action. It's like the man who keeps bringing materials to the building site and never builds anything. He keeps bringing in the sand and the gravel and the windows and the doors and the roofing material, and he just stacks up all these supplies, but he never builds anything. See, if you do that long enough, fairly soon they'll come and take you away. You've got to do something with what you've learned. You've got to take action. You've got to get going. So that's one of the most important things to learn, how to design your days, how to design your weeks, how to design the months, so that you take the proper action to get the proper return that you're looking for, whether it's economic or personal.
Once you have something that somebody's willing to pay you $10 for, this is how this works. It's called the multiples of 10. See, you don't have to figure out how to be a millionaire. You just got to figure out the thing that makes you $10. So now here we go. You do it and you make $10. Soon as they pay you the 10, go do it 10 more times. Whatever it was. Watch some more kids 10 more times. Get another 10. You got $100. When you get $100, whatever you did to make that $100, listen to me, do it 10 more times. You ain't got to get tricky with it. Just do it 10 more times. You'd have made $1,000. Whatever you did to make the $1,000, don't get smart. Stay stupid now. Do it 10 more times. You have now made $10,000. Hold up. Now we finna grow a little bit, but guess what you got to do to grow? You just got to do some more.
You wouldn't be having that opposition if you didn't have something great in you. If your dream wasn't alive and on track, right on schedule to come to pass, you wouldn't have so many things coming against you. That dream is still alive. You may have tried a year ago, 5 years ago, or 40 years ago. Didn't work out. Nobody was there to help you go back and try again. This is your time. This is your moment. Your destiny is calling out to you. Can I tell you, your dream is not dead. It's just not in season.
How do you find the strength to get out of bed every morning when all hell is breaking loose? And wipe your own tears out of your face because you got nobody else to wipe them but you. That he will not allow the enemy to send anything into your life that is stronger than his power is upon your life to get you through this moment in your life.
If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person. One person can change the world by giving people hope.
As thy days are, so shall thy strength be. As thy days are, so shall thy strength be. The tougher the day, the greater the strength. In other words, I measured the day before I released the strength, and I am sure that I gave you enough strength to get through whatever this. Because he trusted you with trouble. Because you passed enough tests that he knew you could handle it now. Because he's going to show up in your life in a way that he's never showed up before. And yes, you may have more trouble, but you're going to have more glory, more anointing, more blessing, more wisdom. More of this means more of that. So when you see all hell breaking loose, understand that the angels are coming from every direction. You have to trust God when he says no.
You're making this way harder than it's got to be. If you're trying to make it in this world without God in your life, you're making it way harder than it's got to be. I flunked out of school. I had a severe stuttering problem. I couldn't talk outside my house. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. You can't tell me nothing about what he can't do for you. I've been bottomed out. I'm talking about flat bottomed out. Nothing.
I still believe that things can turn around for me. I still believe that this is not my final position. I still believe if I lose this job, there is another job for me. You have to trust God when you didn't get the job. You have to trust God when your child didn't come home. You have to trust God when he says no.
At the end of the day, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over.
Tears and struggles and pain, and you show up and you continue to fight on no matter the circumstances.
It's easy to get bitter, hold a grudge, lose your passion, kiss the person that left you goodbye, kiss the dream that didn't work out goodbye. God wouldn't have allowed it to happen if he didn't have something better up in front of you.
So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life.
Life is hard. For every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life.
Recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You can decide that you're going to change, that you're not going to be a wimp. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision.
The definition of lunacy is to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So why are you doing what doesn't work?
It's never too late to begin again. No matter what has happened to you in your life, no matter what you've done or what's been done to you, it is never too late to press into a new beginning.
In life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
The enemies that you see today, you will see them no more. No weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. I'm tired of doing what I used to do. If I always do what I've always done, I'll always be where I've always been. I'm going to throw it behind me.
Letting go of what lies behind. We've all got a past. Thank God we've all got a future. Don't you believe that lie that it's too late for you. Refuse to be trapped in the past.
You can't change the past, but you can interpret. You can reinterpret how you see it. For years, I was going around with a heavy load on my shoulders, feeling bad because I was adopted. You weren't given away less, you were chosen with love. Same circumstances, same event, but reinterpreted. An interpretation that empowers me. Am I making sense to you?
You can start heading in the right direction by having a brand new attitude toward life. You're hurting yourself if you're living an isolated, lonely life and living in fear of ever being involved with anybody. But you know, you really only have two choices. You can live your life disappointed, or you can have a new beginning. That's our only option.
So when you begin to look at your past, give an interpretation that empowers you. That's where I used to be. That's not where I am now. I'm growing.
There are people and opportunities that were ordained for your past that are not ordained for your future. They were right for a season, but that season can come to an end. The key is how we handle the closed doors, how you handle the people that treated you wrong. Sometimes, instead of kissing them goodbye, we smack them goodbye.
And so one of the rules is if people are impeding your development, you sacrifice your relationship with them. It's a very, very rough rule.
If giving him a piece of your mind hadn't worked in the first 15 years, wouldn't it be a good time now to change strategies? Why are we loyal to ineffectiveness?
It takes guts to take that first step and say, here we go. I'm accepting the possibility that I might fail. I've failed at so many things in my life. That's just the way it goes. But you know what? At least I can look back and say, at least I tried.
Life has disappointment. It's got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley.
But right now, you're being tried. You're being tested by fire and by pain. That's the test. Don't fail the test.
Separate what you do from who you are. That's what the guilt trap is about. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. A lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. And that's what you call life.
Fight on. Fight through the storm. Fight through the pain and come out the other side stronger and better. A survivor. A winner. Victorious. Free from that storm.
An enterprising person is one who sees opportunity in all areas of life. To consistently take advantage of the opportunity that you've created. To be aware, to face life with your eyes and ears open to the possibilities that may be just around the corner.
What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you? What are your assets? What are your strong points?
Creativity to look at the world a little differently. Creativity to be different. And what goes hand in hand with the creativity of self-enterprise, the courage to be creative, the courage to see things differently, and the courage to go against the crowd, the courage to stand alone if you have to, understanding your self-worth, how valuable you are.
Look at and evaluating yourself to make that determination. Find some trusted critics on where we are falling short and tell us about our blind spots. We want to have everything being positive about us. We're not perfect. Begin to stimulate some possibilities in your mind on how you can resolve the problem. We can't grow by ourselves. As I mentioned before, we grow from people and projects.
What could you do if you had all the skills, took the classes, read the books? What could you do? What true value could you develop? Once you start understanding how valuable you are, it's a whole new experience. If we don't feel good about ourselves, we won't feel good about our lives. And if we don't feel good about our lives, we won't be very interested in looking for opportunities.
Let's say you're miserable and unhappy. Here's a cure. Find what's valuable and let it go. So we could say, well, maybe it's a relationship that you have. Maybe it's a relationship with your parents. And the relationship is pathological, but you're locked into it. You value it. And no wonder, because it's a relationship with your parents. And you're suffering terribly because of it. Well, what do? Maybe you let it go. It's a sacrifice. And the idea is that, well, that'll clear the future for you.
Success isn't in the having. Success is in the doing. It's the process of doing that brings value. It's the activity that transforms our dreams into reality, that converts ideas into actuality.
That the tougher the day is, the greater the grace. The more tenacious the dilemma, the more equipped the believer. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Come on, man. I lived in a car for 3 years. I had nothing. But I made a decision, man. I just started talking to God every day. I just started asking him for help, to hear me. If you call God and you ask him to hear you, he hears you.
That most people get caught up in the distractions of life. Look around and praise God, because whatever you've done is on the tip of the iceberg possible for you. Yes. Look back, thank God. Look around and praise God for all the possibilities, all the things that's looking at you, waiting for you to take advantage of. Expand your vision for what's possible for you. To decide that your circumstances are not going to define you. Make a decision. This is a pivot point. This is a deciding moment that you've had it living life as you've been living, and you want more because you deserve it. You deserve it.
You can get self-help at the bookstore, but sometimes self can't help self. You can get motivation from the motivationalists, but sometimes you cannot motivate when you need a miracle. You can get socialization in the club, the sorority, the lodge. We do socialize, but it's more than that. We do motivate, but it's more than that. We do encourage, but it's more than that. What we give here that is unique to us is food for the soul, is fight for the fighter, is bread for the eater. And for them that have no might, if you can just get to the word of God, you can tie a knot and hold on. Because people see the outer display of your gift, but they do not see the inner pains that go along with being who you are. And it is not just me alone. There are people out there right now who look at your life and they just fantasize, saying, I wish I had what she had. I wish I had what he had. I wish I had that opportunity. Just look at the person next to you. Don't they look good?
I can change, you can change, the other people in our life can change, our finances can change. There's nothing that cannot change. Don't look at any situation and think this is hopeless, this will never change.
Believe that it will happen. But there's nothing more powerful than your faith. When you believe, when you expect things to change. I know healing is on the way. I know the right person is in my future. I know what God started, he's going to finish.
And yet we have such a tendency to lean toward what's wrong and finding the fault. But we can change that attitude.
We all have a reason to be sour. Don't let that talk you out of what God has in store. You wouldn't be alive if there wasn't something amazing in your future. Can your faith be seen? Can anyone notice that you're expecting to go to a new level? Are you talking like it's going to happen? Thinking like it's going to happen? Believing like it's going to happen? God is passing by. But if you're negative, I don't see how it'll work out.
Changing our mind, changing our attitude so we can have the best life. Things can change. Everybody shout out real loud. Anything can change.
What do you want? What do you see for yourself? Look ahead. Listen to God. Look ahead. What do you see for you? Look beyond your circumstances. Expand your vision. Become clear about what it is that you want. What is it that you want for your family? What is it you want for your health? Look around. Does it feed you? Does it fuel you? Does it motivate you? Does it inspire you? Or does it drain you? Does it deplete you? Is it compromising your power, your circumstances? Very important.
When things go wrong, they always seem to happen at once, and they just compound on top of each other. It's pretty easy sometimes to feel beaten when you're faced with all those issues and all those problems, and they all hit you at the same time. Let me tell you, that doesn't mean give up. It means it's time for you to fight harder, to dig in. It means it's time for you to go on the warpath.
Look ahead. What is it that God is calling you to do? What's in your heart? What's in your heart? Because where your heart is, there your treasure is also. What's in your heart? That's a calling. You were created on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. You're still here regardless of what you've gone through. You're still here regardless of what you've done and all the things that you've done that you shouldn't have done. You are still here for a purpose, for God's purpose.
What's the biggest problem? Explain where you are at. Be blunt, be upfront, and then give them the simple plan of how you're going to get things back on track. You give it to them straight, right? You're falling behind at work. Talk to your boss. Face it. Tell him you're going to get after it. And tell him that you're 100% committed. It won't be easy. It will be hard because life is hard. That's what life is.
It's time to reflect and meditate, and journal, and pray to God. Look back and thank God.
These challenges that you face, they're going to do their best to take you down. Let those challenges raise you up. Let them elevate you. Let their demands and their trials make you stronger. Let the adversity you face today turn you into a better person tomorrow. So in the future, you look back at these struggles and you say to them, thank you.
If people are impeding your development, you sacrifice your relationship with them. It's a very, very rough rule.
If giving him a piece of your mind hadn't worked in the first 15 years, wouldn't it be a good time now to change strategies?
I don't want to be enabled in my brokenness. I'm looking for some friends who will empower me to think bigger, empower me to get a new vision, empower me to get back up. I am not a victim, I'm a victor. And my present situation does not define my potential destination. Life doesn't happen to me, life happens for me. I'm gonna keep on moving forward so you can save your sympathy. I don't need your sympathy. What I need is your strength. What I need is you to sharpen me. I'm not a victim, I'm more than a conqueror. What we should do when somebody does us wrong, forgive them and let it drop. Leave it and let it go.
Why are we loyal to ineffectiveness? When people can walk away from you, let them walk. When people can walk away from you, let them walk.
So impose on yourself this self-development of being in charge, taking charge of your life and your health and your future and your responsibilities and all the rest. Take charge of your health. You're the one that's responsible for it. It's not a requirement of society that you not have a heart attack and take care of your family. That's not a requirement of society, but you must make it a requirement of yourself. Reasonable time is enough time to achieve all of your goals. Just jot that down. Reasonable time is enough time. Here's why. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours. The ideas you can't think of now, a year from now, they'll start to flow. And when you deposit those ideas in the hours you've got, productivity multiplies by 2, 3, 5, 10.
I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, calling you, caring about you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. Tears and struggles and pain, and you show up and you continue to fight on no matter the circumstances.
The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. It's all a part of a process for growing for me. To me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself.
Maybe somebody's talking about you, trying to make you look bad. You could easily be upset, offended, try to pay them back.
Why don't you try a different approach? Drop it, leave it, and let it go. It's easy to get bitter, hold a grudge, lose your passion. Kiss the person that left you goodbye. Kiss the dream that didn't work out goodbye. God wouldn't have allowed it to happen if He didn't have something better up in front of you.
So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life.
You literally are your surroundings. If you have a problem with your life, you should have a problem with the people in your life. You're going left, and they're going right. You're going right, and then they go left.
Recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You can decide that you're going to change, that you're not going to be a wimp. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision.
The enemy wouldn't be fighting you if you weren't a threat. Oh, get ready. Favor is about to turn things around. Favor is not going to keep you from the storm, but favor will bring you out of the storm.
What do you do when you tried and failed and you want to quit and you want to give up? Sometimes you can be blessed and be unhappy. Because even though things are going right, they're not going according to what you had believed and expected, and you know that something is missing out of your life.
Discouragement is born when we compare ourselves with somebody else. Just think about where I came from. Just think about what God started me out as and where I am today. And it's encouraging to not compare yourself with others, but to remember how far you've come and where you started.
It's never too late to begin again. No matter what has happened to you in your life, no matter what you've done or what's been done to you, it is never too late to press into a new beginning.
In life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
Other than death, all failure is psychological. Does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will. But it does mean that as long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed.
The enemies that you see today, you will see them no more. No weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. I'm tired of doing what I used to do. If I always do what I've always done, I'll always be where I've always been. I'm going to throw it behind me.
Letting go of what lies behind. We've all got a past. Thank God we've all got a future. Don't you believe that lie that it's too late for you. Refuse to be trapped in the past.
You can't change the past, but you can interpret. You can reinterpret how you see it.
Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
I fought a good fight. I fought for my kids, and I fought for what was right. And I fought for my good health. And I fought for a good career that would bless my family. I fought a good fight. The encroachment. Opposites are in conflict, and we're in the middle. And if you want something valuable, you got to fight for it.
You can start heading in the right direction by having a brand new attitude toward life. You're hurting yourself if you're living an isolated, lonely life and living in fear of ever being involved with anybody. But you know, you really only have two choices. You can live your life disappointed, or you can have a new beginning. That's the only option.
So when you begin to look at your past, give an interpretation that empowers you. That's where I used to be. That's not where I am now. I'm growing.
There are people and opportunities that were ordained for your past that are not ordained for your future. They were right for a season, but that season can come to an end.
Not only have I fought a good fight, I fought a good fight and I kept the faith. See, that's the deal. Keep faith with your family. Fight like crazy and keep faith. Fight the enemy and keep faith.
You have comeback power when something happens to you. Don't buy into what has happened to you. Buy into, I'm getting up out of here. I'm going to change this situation. This does not work with me, and I don't have the luxury of being depressed. I need to clear my head.
But right now, you're being tried. You're being tested by fire and by pain. That's the test. Don't fail the test.
So why not just go for it? After all, it hasn't hurt you so far. Of course, the reality isn't quite that simple, but it's not as simple either as thinking that just because you're older, things are now going in the opposite direction, and that while you used to want to do everything, you should now want to do nothing. No, reality is by no means that simple either. There's a saying that I heard in church. That saying was, you have to lose your life in order to find it.